So you've read the Book of the Law, or maybe you have read some additional works by Aleister Crowley. Maybe you've tried your hand at some Thelemic spiritual practices, such as the Star Ruby or Liber Resh. Or maybe you have even attended events at OTO or some other Thelemic organization. And yet you're still left wondering, what is Thelema really about? What does it actually mean to be a Thelemite? What is demanded of the Thelemic spiritual path? Look no further. In this video, I'm going to tell you exactly what I think it means to be a Thelemite, and the answer may surprise you. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, consider supporting me on Patreon. I will leave the link to my Patreon in the description of this video. Now let's dive in. Let me begin by telling you what I think being a Thelemite is not. I do not think being a Thelemite means just doing your will. If by doing your will, you mean just living the sort of life that you want to live. Sometimes you hear people say things like, join us for dinner at Sizzler later, if it is your will, which is just kind of a weird way of saying, come get dinner at Sizzler if you feel like it. Never mind the fact that nobody under the age of 75 wants to get dinner at Sizzler. The reason we know that going to dinner at Sizzler can't be doing your will is because if there's one thing Crowley said over and over and over and over again, it's that will is not the same thing as want. And so if you're able to substitute will in a sentence with if you feel like doing it or if it's what you want to do, then we know that you cannot be talking about doing your will, at least not as Aleister Crowley understood it. Thelema also can't just be about being yourself or being a more authentic version of yourself. Becoming more authentic is definitely part of Thelema. Being truer to yourself will make your magic more effective. I even talked about this in a recent video of mine on magic and the shadow. But it's not as though being authentic is really the center of gravity of Thelema. Crowley talks a lot about things such as resolving your complexes or bringing more unity to yourself. But it's not as though he offers a whole lot of explanation for how you would go about doing this. I would say that if it is really your desire to become a more integrated person and a more authentic person, there are probably better ways to do that than turning to magic. And there are probably better resources for that than Aleister Crowley. Like, for example, I would look to modern psychology for some really good explanations for how to bring about that impact. And certainly bringing about that result will improve your magic and will make it easier for you to do your will, but that's not really what Thelema is principally about. Nor do I think being a Thelemite is about accepting the Book of the Law. I'm not even really sure exactly what people mean when they say accepting the Book of the Law. I think this is something that you find among people who have been through OTO, that they believe this. Like, what does it mean to accept the Book of the Law? Does it mean to accept that it exists? I accept that the Quran exists. It doesn't mean I'm going to face Mecca and start praying. Sometimes this is phrased as not desiring to change the Book of the Law. But then that just raises the question, why would you want to change someone else's book? And how is that relevant to being a Thelemite? Let's say that there are certain passages of the Book of the Law that I hate. Every time I read these passages or someone brings them up, I literally shit myself with rage over them. But I don't want to change them. Why would my not wanting to change those passages be at all relevant? Now I'm going to tell you what I think being a Thelemite is about. However, before I do, if you're liking the content of this video, there's a really good chance you would enjoy my free PDF, Unlock the Mysteries of Thelema. This is a free guide to the magic of Aleister Crowley, in which I answer the top 10 most frequently asked questions about Thelema and magic. It's great for a beginner, but it's also useful to anyone looking to fill in gaps in their knowledge. And best of all, it's completely free. I'm going to leave a link down below for you to download this free guide. Now, back to the controversial stuff. My idea of what it means to be a Thelemite comes from an essay Crowley wrote called One Star in Sight. There he talks about accepting the Book of the Law as the word and letter of truth and the supreme rule of life. To accept the Book of the Law as the word and letter of truth, in my opinion, does not mean to accept every single proposition in it as a fact about the world. The essence of truth is love, and the essence of love in a Thelemic sense is the dynamic interchange of magical energy between Nuit and Hadit. Hadit expresses this love as eros, or eroticism, and Nuit expresses it as agape, or gratuitousness. So I regard the Book of the Law as an expression in the English language of this divine magical interchange, the sum total of which in any moment is nothingness or silence. For the Book of the Law to be the word and letter of truth does not mean that every proposition in it is factually true. It's not like opening up a newspaper or opening up a textbook on chemistry or physics. What it means is that to understand the Book of the Law means to enter into participation with this exchange of magical energy which constitutes existence itself. To consider it the sole rule of life, for me, means that it lies at the center of my spiritual universe. This doesn't mean that every time I have a problem in my life, I crack open the Book of the Law to see which of its 220 verses answers my question. I'm not stupid. Nor does it mean that the Book of the Law is the only legitimate expression of spiritual truth. But it does mean that I hold the Book of the Law in a higher place than those other texts. As I said in a recent video, it's okay to recognize that there is truth in the Bible, the Quran, or the suttas. But the Book of the Law takes precedence over all of them. For me, that means that Thelema and the Book of the Law represent the best path for participating directly in the magical and mystical energies that constitute creation and ultimate reality. This has very little to do with things like freedom of choice. What I choose to do, what I have freedom to do, is predicated upon what I surrender myself to. And I surrender myself to the truth in the Book of the Law, which means that in each and every moment, I only have one choice, and that is to do my will or not. Nor does it have a lot to do essentially with authenticity. Who and what I am is always being surrendered to that which I am not. What I call myself is really more like the heat thrown off by this magical exchange between Nuit and Hadit, who constitute a fundamental reality so deep, so unfathomable, that the best I can do is to try to attune myself to it, or even better, just get out of the way of that flow of energy. Authenticity is not about finding some kind of immutable bedrock self underneath all the messages that I've been given by asshole cops, teachers, parents, and other authority figures. It is important to throw all of that off, but the entire point of being authentic is so that you can attune the whole of your being to this fundamental reality that is trying to work through you. So it's not like Thelema disregards authenticity, nor is it essentially about authenticity, but it provides a kind of rationale or a purpose for why you would want to live a more authentic life. This is why in Liber 2, the message of the Master Therion, Crowley says that to do your true will is identical with doing the will of God. It's the balancing within yourself of masculine and feminine energies. This is what allows you to confront each moment with the innocence and spontaneity of a child. What do you think? Does this match your experience of what it is like to be a Thelemite? Let me know down in the comments. And if you found this video valuable, I would bet my bottom dollar you'll also like this other video. So make sure you check it out. And until next time, love is the law, love under will.